Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Douglas Balish, Executive Chef at Grove of Narberth and 2025 Hotel Chef of the Year. Coming up on today's show, Douglas gives us a hint of what's to come in his story.
I've done far worse than that, to be honest.
Phil explains where all good people should meet each other. So grateful that you and I bumped into each other, I think maybe in the toilet, actually. And Douglas tells us about his early career cooking capability.
Absolute trash, like absolute garbage.
All that and so much more as we chat through Douglas's epic story so far. Douglas brings a fantastic mix of candid, heartfelt and humour to this chat, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy! And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to Douglas Balish.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Happy to be here.
Good. I just realised I didn't even check with you. Is that the right pronunciation of your name?
Yeah, you're actually spot on. You're one of the few who's managed to get it correct. It's usually Balish or someone else, Bailey.
Right. Very good. Yes. Well, obviously we're both from the motherland originally. Things have changed for both of us in that time. But little story as to how we got to know each other. We've not known each other for that long, but I was at the Hotel Katie's last year, as were you. And there was a specific reason why you were at the Hotel Katie's last year. It's because you were actually up for an award. I don't know if you want to just tell the world what happened.
Yeah, so we've been up for it before, actually. So it always feels a little bit of a strange thing to be nominated for one of these kind of things, because I'm just the face for something which is far bigger, and there are people probably working harder than me and running around like idiots, and then I get nominated for this kind of award. So it was for the Hotel Chef of the Year. Obviously a massive award. It's one of the kind of ones that I look at and think, like, I've looked at previous winners and thought, wow, like, these guys are amazing. Like, that'll never be me. So yeah, so it was really amazing to have that sort of recognition. But yeah, there's been a lot of hard work done by other people as well for me to be able to stand up on the stage and be given it. So yeah, I'm very grateful to everyone else as well.
Yeah, it was very well received. I remember that being in the room, and there was just really good. I mean, as you would expect, right? It's an awards ceremony. It should be uplifting and all of that. But there was a really good, energetic response to you winning that. And also, like, I'm a bit of a fanboy because I have been lucky enough to experience Grove at Narberth, which I haven't actually even explained that's where you are. Yeah, so maybe we should probably do that too, is tell the world what it is that you actually do there.
Yeah, so I'm the executive chef, and last year I was made into director for the hotels, for both this one and for the hotel that we have up north in Penmynycalf. So it's based in Dolgellau in North Wales. So I just oversee all the food offerings here. We've got 2 restaurants, afternoon tea, usual kind of stuff. But I've been here nearly 7 years now, so quite a long time in terms of hospitality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose that's what happens when there's a coming together of just things that click. I guess you don't stay anywhere for 7 years unless something clicks, I would guess.
Yeah. I mean, I've always tried to do some sort of longevity anywhere that I've worked. I feel like it is something that's important. You know, you don't learn everything you need to learn after 6 months or whatever. So I've always tried to do like 4 or 5 years kind of thing anywhere that I've worked. But yeah, it's been good. Obviously, we're lucky. We've got good owners, like, they want to back us to do stuff. You know, they're not billionaires, you know, so everything they do comes from the profit of the business. They put it back in, and, you know, I can really respect that and, you know, get on board. And they wanted to support us to do what we want to do, kind of thing. They let us do. They don't interfere too much. I couldn't ask for more, really.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's great to hear as well. And as I said, I'm a bit of a fanboy because I've been lucky enough to experience it, and specifically because you're dog friendly. which is
Yeah, yeah.
a big thing for me, massive thing. And we had a fantastic experience for lunch with the dog. The dog was treated, I think, probably better than us, but that's fine.
Yeah,
No issue with
has
that.
been said. Has been said. Hopefully not the food's better, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, they've treated pretty well here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So massive recommendation from me for anybody who's in your part of the world to go and check it out if you've got a dog, because you will be very well looked after. And the standard of the food was exceptional as well. And that was in your all day dining restaurant. I think you've got a fine dining offer as well.
Yeah, so yeah, we've got sort of the all day option, which is like a sort of brasserie type thing. So it's yeah, we've got some interesting stuff, like some Asian influence stuff, and then we've got sort of the sort of normal fare, the sort of burgers, crowd pleasers, pies, that kind of stuff. That we obviously we make everything in house. You know, we make the pies, we make the bread, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we've got a second offering, which is the fine dining, so the Fernery restaurant. Yeah, it's gone pretty well. Taste the menu only, 4 desserts. Still can't get a Michelin star for some reason. Don't know what we've done to deserve that, but yeah, I'm sure it'll come at some point. I'm just not sure why it's not come already. But that's it is what it is. The most important thing is for us, the guests come, they all love it, they're happy, and yeah, they keep coming back. So that's the main thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. What's the old Scottish saying? What's for you won't go by you, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time. And of course, we're really hot off the press as well as we record this, right? Because it was literally only this week that they have done the announcements of who's got stars, etc., etc. But I think you raise a really, really great point around the fact that actually, if your purpose is to get the star, then I think your purpose is probably a little bit misaligned. The purpose should be to give the best experience that you possibly can, right, to the people who want to come and share some time with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at it. At the end of the day, for us, like, it would be amazing. For myself, I held the star before. It's not as much of a priority for me now as it was when I was like in my 20s, sort of thing. And now a bit more sort of like around about how the business runs, and then looking after the staff and making sure everyone's like happy and everyone's learning. However, at the end of the day, it would be amazing for everyone who works here, especially like some of the younger ones who've been here. A lot of them been here 4 or 5 years, kind of thing. They've worked really hard. For them to have that sort of recognition and rewards for all the hard work that they do, and it's not an easy place to work. That would be really great for me to be able to give them that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously, from a business side, it's extremely helpful. It raises your publicity. We'd sell more rooms. We'd probably have more people coming here who are wanting to really experience that sort of like high level fine dining type thing. Yeah, I mean, it would be really handy. It'd be good for revenue. But yeah, we just keep going and keep trying to be better every day at the end of the day. So we're happy with what we're serving. We think it's as good as anywhere, sort of thing. So yeah, we just keep going, really.
Yeah, no, and I would absolutely back you up in that, as well as that. If experience is what you're looking for, you'll definitely get a fantastic experience at your property for sure. But anyway, we'll not dwell on that. Let's draw a line, and we'll actually, I want to take you all the way back to the beginning when you were but a wee lad somewhere in Scotland. I can't even remember where, but how did you get into the world of hospitality in the first place?
Well, it was not planned. So yeah, I'm from Troon in Ayrshire, so it's probably about half an hour from Glasgow. Yeah, obviously it's not the culinary capital of the world.
One of the golfing capitals of the world.
There's a lot of golfing, that's true, but there's also a lot of absolute crap, and there's a lot of just deep fried stuff. So my friend, when we were at school, he got me a job washing dishes when I was about 15, maybe 16, something like that. So yeah, we're just doing that, both of us together, both planning to go off to university. I was planning to go to Glasgow to study psychology. And then the summer before, started helping the chefs a little bit in the kitchen. I mean, I say chefs, I use that term fairly loosely. They had a uniform on, but there wasn't a lot of cooking. So
a very tall hat.
There was no tall hats, but there was a few dodgy a few dodgy things going on in the kitchen. So, I mean, even for somebody who knew nothing, I was aware at the time that it was not probably uh, the peak
Right.
of culinary excellence. So, yeah, I gave the chefs a bit of a hand, just making sandwiches and doing desserts and stuff like that over the summer. And as that continued, I loved the camaraderie and everything of it. Really felt like there was a real sense of place with it, and I think that's why a lot of people do fall into hospitality, is they start to feel part of something, which is definitely the case for myself anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went back home, told my mum that actually I think maybe I might want to be a chef, and I think she was a bit confused as to why I suddenly decided to do this and not want to go to university and whatever else. I mean, but for me, I was never really into school. Like, I would go to the classes more often than not, I suppose. But I just had no interest in sitting there and listening, and I always wanted to be doing stuff and engaged in something. And somebody just standing in the front of a classroom talking to you about something in a book just isn't my idea of fun, or it's not how I enjoy learning. Even now, like, I don't enjoy that. I'd much rather be in something, making something, being shown something, doing something with somebody else together. If somebody sat me down and said, "This is how you need to build a house" or something now, just off of a blackboard, and it would just go straight over my head, because I just lose interest straight away.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an awful lot of people who'd listen to that and completely relate to it, and I think equally there's probably a lot of people that, if they were really honest with themselves, they forced themselves to learn that way. But then, and I probably classify myself as one of those, to be fair. I didn't knuckle down at all, but I kind of did enough to get by in order to do the next step and then the next step. But equally, all of the time, I look back now and I think to myself, was I actually really in control of that, or was I just going with the expectation of what you're supposed to do
Yeah.
back in that time?
Yeah, what you just said, literally, just I couldn't have summed that up better. Actually, that's exactly where I was at. I was like, I just felt like that was the expectation, was to go to university, to go and get a degree in something. But for myself, I knew deep down, as much as I would have enjoyed probably going to university for the drinking aspect and the going out aspect and the casual sort of aspect of it, I think the reality is the chances of me knuckling down for 4 or 5 years and coming out of there with a good degree was probably fairly slim. Because there's one thing when you're at secondary school and you can sort of wing it and do a bit of last minute studying kind of thing and not pay attention, guess half the answers kind of thing. Like, there's no chance of me having actually knuckled down enough to study properly for 4 or 5 years to actually come out of there with a degree. So I think I made the right decision in not going. And if I was to look back, I probably shouldn't have gone so long in secondary school. I probably should have left when I was 16 or something and pursued a career there and then, whether it's hospitality or something else. But yeah, so I was working in this little hotel, had a pub and a fine dining restaurant attached to it. The fine dining restaurant closed and we continued in the pub. And after a couple of years, I moved on to the sort of fancy place in the town down the harbour, and worked there again for a couple of years. Very, very high volume. Like, they were doing about 1,000 covers on a bank holiday kind of thing. It was just on one day. It was just an absolute machine of a place. Yeah. Again, the food quality wasn't particularly amazing. There's a lot of microwave and a lot of stuff, but I mean, I don't regret going there because you learn to move your arse. Like, from the get-go, you were there first thing in the morning, you were running. Yeah. So,
but also, I suppose part of the journey is also figuring out what resonates with you, right? I mean, maybe at this point in your career, you have not yet found the thing or the place that has really ignited you, or had you at this point, had you qualified in your own head that this is definitely the path for me, and I'm gonna be persistent with this?
Well, no. So I mean, again, even that was a bit of a funny one for me, because for everyone, most people, not everyone, but for most people, they would then go into culinary school, go to college and study, get NVQs or whatever. For me, I've not done any of that. I'm the least qualified person in the whole kitchen here at the Grove. I have got 0 qualifications. Most of the other guys at least got some sort of, some piece of paper or somewhere that they've achieved something. So, but for me, I have absolutely nothing. So I wasn't totally sure at that point. I was reading a lot of books. I was buying a lot of books and studying sort of thing on my own at home. I was completely obsessed with it. I was completely threw myself into it. I was making dishes up. I was drawing pictures of what I would like to do and stuff like that. Absolute trash, like absolute garbage. But I thought this was amazing at the time, but it was, embarrassingly bad. So, I even remember cooking a few things at home. It was just... I could tell that my mum was trying to force it down, kind of thing, just to keep the peace, I guess.
Yeah. I remember once when I'm not a chef by any stretch of the imagination. I'm probably what I would classify myself as an elite amateur home cook. I love to spend some time figuring out how to do stuff better and all of that kind of stuff in the kitchen. But back in the early days of me learning how to cook, I remember thinking some of the things that would come into my head were absolute genius. And then you put them on the plate and you're like, oh God. And the one that I always remember was I was trying to think, because my father had always said to me, never really like rice. So when I was coming up with an Asian concept of a dish, I thought I need to give him potatoes because he loves his potatoes. So I thought I'd put some sweet soy in some mashed potato, and thinking I was a culinary genius because nobody had ever done this before, and then learned why nobody had ever done this before.
Wow, amazing. I've done far worse than that, to be honest. So,
well, that makes me feel even better.
And maybe not even that long ago, probably either. So, I was taking stuff home and trying to make aubergines and stuff like that weren't cooked properly, and some peppers and stuff. It was just, tragic, absolutely tragic. So, yeah, we stayed there for a little bit, and then I kind of was like, God, you know what, if I'm going to really do this, I think I was about 18 at this point. I was like, if I'm going to, maybe 19 or stuff, if I'm going to really do this, I need to go somewhere really good. So I went to the sort of best place that was local to me. They had 3 rosettes, which obviously has the most accolades of anywhere that was close by. And yeah, I just went there and I just absolutely hated it. I absolutely hated it. So
really?
I didn't really fit in with the people that worked there. There was stuff there that I also was like, rightly or wrongly, like maybe I knew better, maybe I didn't know better. There's a lot of like buying in powdered stocks and all that kind of stuff, and I really wanted to learn. That's not what I went there for. I wanted to learn how to make absolutely everything from scratch. Whether it was bread, whether it was sauces, whether it was pastries, whatever it was. That's not why I went there, and yeah, I just didn't get on very well there. So I only stayed there a couple of months. And then I used that as a springboard to go somewhere really good. I had a few family issues, probably like most chefs have, where I was quite happy to move as far away from home as possible. So
right.
I moved. So I looked for Michelin star restaurants with 4 rosettes, which I just thought that that's a level that's like a huge jump from what I've ever done before, and I'm going to go do that. I'm going to learn. I'm going to get my ass kicked, but it's fine. And I'm going to probably try and do it as far away as I can from my home in Scotland, in a place that speaks English. So,
you don't have your the safety blanket or safety net, sorry, of retreat, I suppose. If you've kind of just got to throw yourself into this and take whatever comes your way, learn the lessons accordingly, and hopefully growth is the outcome of that process.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. And it was kind of a case of, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it properly, and I need to learn how to do things properly, and I need to learn how to make everything from scratch. At the end of the day, once you've worked somewhere that can do all these things, you can always go back to do something else. You can do street food, you can do a pub, you can do a cafe, you can do fine dining, you can do whatever you want. But if you don't know how to do stuff properly, it's then difficult to then go off and do street food that just happens to be like the best street food ever. It's like there's absolutely nothing to be looked down upon with things like that, or a pub or something. Everyone's got their own interests and own things that they want to do and that they find to be more delicious than other things. It doesn't need to be Michelin stars or anything like that. But for me, I wanted to learn properly how to do all those basics So then I was covered for whatever I ended up doing in the future after that.
Mm.
So yeah, I moved to the Channel Islands, to Jersey, to a restaurant called Bohemia. So at the time, I think I had 1 star and 4 rosettes, and yeah, with a chef called Sean Rankin, who's fairly well known.
Yeah, sure.
And that was an absolute baptism of fire. So,
This is what I love though around stories like this, is because one, like you have to give yourself a massive amount of credit at the early stage of your life for wanting to push yourself. Like, it sounds like nobody was pushing you to do this. This was all coming from within you, the desire to want to be better, to want to understand more, all of that kind of stuff. But also then take yourself right outside of your comfort zone, and you almost have to rip up everything you think you know, I guess, every time you walk through the door.
oh God, yeah. I mean, I do. I've never spoken to him about this actually, but there was. I think it was on my first week there. I was, I'd become sous chef at the place where I was before, and I had 2 rosettes and stuff. And I thought, I was 18, 19, something like that. And I thought,
nailed it.
I knew something, and I knew absolutely nothing, like zero. I mean, I was terrible. I was absolutely useless. And I'd gone in there, and I remember Sean saying something to me in the first week, kind of like, oh, so what? Like, what have you been doing before? Like, what can you do, kind of thing? Can you do fish? Can you do pastry? And I was like, yeah, I can do everything. Like, I can do it all. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'll be able to do any section, kind of thing. And I just remember the look on his face, kind of like shaking his head, kind of thing. And I was like, all right, well, was I not supposed to say that? Like, maybe that didn't come across right. And yeah, right enough. I think, in the first week, I was a demi-chef de partie, and I mean, I think that was probably kind, actually. I was absolutely so far off the pace. I was having to come in early. I was getting pans thrown at my head and God knows what in like my first week, because, it was absolutely mental. It was amazing.
Sorry, on you go.
No, you go, sorry.
I was just going to say, what part of you, I'm really interested, and this speaks to maybe even your own early interest in psychology, whereby that was something you wanted to go and study. What part of you in that environment where you feel like so out of your depth, and also, that it's intense, right? I mean, there's no getting away from it. It's an intense place to try and learn. What part of you thought, no, I can still do this. I've got this. I can, I just knuckle down. I'll give me a couple of weeks and I'll start to get up to speed.
Oh, I mean, I think
Did any part of you think that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. After the first week, when I've had my first day off, I've been put in this staff accommodation, which is obviously infamously terrible living conditions and hospitality if you're in staff accommodation. This place was an absolute crack den of a hospitality, of like a staff house. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. My room was underground. There was just a tiny little window out, like tiny onto street level. It was damp. There was a sink that was leaking onto the floor in the bedroom. It is a total disaster.
This is a great advert for the industry, isn't it?
I mean, times have changed. I'm going to say that. Times have changed. So this was now probably 21 years ago. So times, I mean, nobody would do that now. I mean, I certainly hope not anyway. But the times were different. And Jersey's obviously ridiculously expensive to live in as well. So you kind of had to take what you could get at that point. But I was getting paid absolutely peanuts. I was working crazy hours, and there was a pay phone in the sort of entrance to this staff house type thing. It was basically an old guest house. And I remember phoning my mum on the first week and just saying to her, like, Jesus fucking Christ, what have I done? Like, she's like, oh, are you okay? You okay? I was like, I've just worked like 80 something hours. Like, I'm absolutely destroyed. I've had pans thrown at my head. I've been pushed around. I've been screamed at. I've been told I'm shit and useless and everything else. And in fairness, it was all the truth. So they weren't wrong. I was absolutely awful. So I just decided, like, I'll just stick at it. I'll keep going. Like, I'll just keep trying my hardest. Like, if these guys can do it, I can do it. So
Nice.
yeah, after probably about 6 months of getting absolutely whipped every single day, I think I maybe had a couple of days where I didn't get bollocked, and I was like, oh,
Oh.
I managed to get through today without somebody going off on me. So I progressed. So yeah, then we did a refurb in the hotel, and we got a new kitchen and stuff like that. It was brand new. We came back, had a bit of time off, and once we came back into the new kitchen, I actually found like the setup of it suited me a lot better, like how the sections were set up and how the equipment worked, and like how the whole thing operated. It suited like how I worked a bit better. So I actually really progressed a lot really quickly after that. I felt much more at home. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I still got absolutely whipped and got my ass kicked and whatever, but
less frequently.
Much less frequently. Yeah. And actually, at one point, I think it got to the point where there was nothing else that could have been said to me after the first 6 months. Nothing fazed me anymore. So you could call me or shout at me or scream in my face or whatever. And actually, it gets you to a point where it's almost like being in the army, where it no longer has any effect on you. You just kind of say like, yep, yeah, chef, I'm coming out. Yep. And that is what
you
it
down,
is.
and now they're going to start building you back up.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of people that say like that, especially like now, that sort of thing. There aren't really kitchens that, I'm sure there's a few of them, but there's a lot less of them that exist like that, where it is so regimented and hard.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of people that say like, oh, that should never have been a thing, and that shouldn't have happened, and you shouldn't be treated like that. And yeah, there was the odd thing that I saw where, it probably went too far, and like some of the bollockings went too far. And I've also been guilty of that myself in the past, when I first became head chef. So I do understand. But for me, it did have the positive effect on me, where it made me much, much, much better. Where that sort of thing that I was saying before, like, would I really sit down in a classroom and concentrate and focus and actually take the information in? When you are like fighting for your life, like you're giving 100%, you're giving your all to for the restaurant, for your team, for the guys beside you, for the chef who you look up to, like to protect yourself, like all these things, you're giving absolutely 100%, So I think that really turned me into like into going down that route. Like I never thought in that time that I was there, like I would be able to get 1 star and 4 desserts kind of thing that I eventually did. I always just looked at the chef as like, oh, he's like an absolute god, like that he's unbelievable. I'll never get to that sort of like level or whatever that he's at. So yeah,
it raises a really good question though as well. Like I completely agree with you. Like we don't want to be creating environments where people feel, I don't know, under that much kind of strain and pressure. But at the same time, and this is absolutely not to advocate for a bullying environment or anything like that, there's probably a fine line somewhere, in the sense that we all don't really know what we're truly capable of putting up with until you're put in the position where you have to make that choice, right? But generally speaking, on the other side of that toughness is a big pot of gold of knowledge of yourself, in terms of what you know that you can take, which is not even just a day-to-day kitchen thing. This is just about life now, about you're probably in a far better position to take the punches that life is going to throw at you because of an experience like that. And now, as I say, that's not me saying that we need to bring that back by any stretch of the imagination. Far from it. But there's probably a balance to be had between creating pressure, but the right kind of pressure, versus that, pretty horrific bullying day-to-day kind of feeling that you may have felt that you had in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe wrongly so, I wouldn't look back at any of that and say like I felt like I was being bullied. Like I think even at that moment in time, I never felt bullied. I always felt like you're bringing I'm getting this to get the best out of me. Like I never felt, and there will be people that would be in that situation who would feel bullied or would feel like too intimidated to then be able to work there or then operate properly or whatever. Like for me, I never felt that. I always just felt like, yeah, we need to do the best. I need to be better. Everything needs to be perfect. This is the reputation of the chef, the reputation of the restaurant. I don't want to be the one to let them down kind of thing, and I'm going to be better for it kind of thing. So I never personally felt like that, although I know plenty of people who work in kitchens and front of house or reception or anything like that who do feel and have had experiences where they do feel victimized and bullied, which is obviously, it's terrible, which is why a lot of people no longer want to work in hospitality in the first place. Yeah, but I think that sort of like hard, very hard work environment where it is like, you're really pushing, and you're constantly under stress. I think, like you say, that just sets you up so much. I think I actually said this like a couple of months ago. I have now probably from that kind of environment, and then the rest of the other kitchens I've worked in, like I sometimes things happen to me like in life with whatever this, whether it's work things, something goes wrong, or I had some problems with my son when he was born and stuff, and we still had like a lot of other things to take care of. Like I take a sort of sick pleasure in knowing that what I'm going through in that moment in time would break a lot of other people. So I'm like, yeah, fine, let's go, let's get it done, let's fix the problem, let's keep going. There's no point in like stopping now or being upset about it. We just need to get on with it, find a solution and get it fixed. And I do think a lot of that comes from that environment of being under real stress and pressure and perfection, like striving for perfection at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say like for me, my character has been completely molded by these kind of work environments, for the better or worse. I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah. Well, as you already alluded to, you obviously the risk is in environments like that is that the people who are then coming through take that style with them when they become leaders as well, and that's not necessarily progress. And you've already very, very kindly kind of offered up the fact that you kind of started out in your leadership career with that kind of same mentality and ethos, but you've clearly evolved, and we will come on to that in a bit more depth. But I'm really keen to continue and finish your story, as it were, in terms of after the Channel Islands, what happened next?
So yeah, left there as one of the sous chefs eventually, and decided that's it. I want to try to see what a 2 Michelin star restaurant is like. So started researching where could I go, like what was I going to do now, what's the best options. Knew that I didn't want to work in London or a particularly big city. It's just something that's never appealed to me, like is finishing there and then getting on the tube or then getting a night bus back home to like your dodgy overpriced flat kind of thing. I've just never found any appeal in that whatsoever. So started researching nice areas to live in. Saw the Cotswolds, place called Whatley Manor. We're looking for a chef de partie, so I took a drop down from being sous chef to then go there as a chef de partie, and started there and realised that I was again fairly low in the tile. So
you're a glutton for punishment, it seems. But then it's growth punishment, I suppose, is what it is. And actually, I really love your ethos, and maybe your previous experience taught you this. Is your expectation is that this time, I need to again drop down in order to move forward, because there's going to be more things to learn that I just don't have in my armory.
Yeah, exactly. And there's certain things I knew that I wasn't particularly good at, even though I'd obviously gone through the ranks in like such an amazing restaurant with an amazing chef kind of thing. I knew there's a lot of things that I didn't know how to do, and so I was like, okay, let's go to this place. I went for my interview there, and I was just like, wow, this guy is just like another level. Like everything they're doing here is just so clinical and precise, and there's everything's down to like a gram of this and a tiny little bit of that. It's just like everything was weighed on micro scales. Everything was like done where there was no wastage. There's equipment they had that I hadn't seen before. It was just everything. It was just amazing. It was like an absolute eye opener. I remember even on my interview, I pulled up in a taxi, and the general manager at the time, Peter, it's an amazing place. It's got a big courtyard. You go through these sort of automatic door type things and drive into this cobbled courtyard. This taxi driver kicked me out, and I hadn't even got to the front door, and the general manager opened the door and said, "Good afternoon, Douglas. Welcome to Whatley Manor." And I was just like, I still to this day, I've got
Okay.
no idea how you. I was like, how the fuck do you know? I'm nobody. How do you know who I am? So yeah, I was just like, wow, that's. I think actually from that moment, from that, I was like, this
Yeah.
place is for me. This is amazing. Like that's
It just
unbelievable.
shows you though, doesn't it? Like that first impression. Like you're already hooked at this point because you're like, what? Jeez. Like didn't
Yeah,
expect that. But and as far your humble self is going, how the hell do they know who I am? But what I love about that is that showcases that luxury mindset which we all talk about in terms of what we want when we want to deliver something luxury to the guest. But then why don't we translate that through to the way that our teams feel and experience when they come in as well? And that's just wonderful to hear that they obviously were taking that seriously before you'd
no,
even
it was
done
yeah,
an interview.
yeah. I mean, that was. I think, as I say, I think that is something like that is important, is to try and make people, like we try to do it here, is try and make people really feel at ease, and as soon as they get here for an interview, and make them feel like at home and it's a safe environment, and that's how I felt there. I was just like, wow, that's amazing. And straight away I was like, oh, we're just having staff food just now, do you want to come down to the canteen and have something to eat with us? Obviously I was absolutely shitting myself, so I was way too nervous to eat anything, so I was like, no, I'm fine, thanks. Like
Been starving myself all morning. Thanks very much.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, we went there, got the job, and yeah, just that was just a totally different level. Yeah, Martin, the chef, is for me is the guy I'll always look up to. I just think he's amazing. He's like a level that's unachievable for the vast majority of even like Michelin star chefs. He sees everything. His taste is phenomenal. His dedication to like amazing ingredients and like yeah, he's a very very special chef, and obviously he's left Whatley Manor now. He's working at Dormy House in that group, but he was amazing. I learned an absolute massive amount there. I only did a couple of years there. I kind of wish I'd done longer, but doing 2 years at Whatley at that point in time was like doing 10 years in some other places. It was, the hours were brutal. You were just running. I remember, again, my first week there, I remember phoning the guys in Bohemia, and the guy who'd replaced me, he was one of my friends. He was promoted into my job. And I phoned him and I was like, bloody hell, mate. And I was like, I can't even walk. I was like, my
You
feet.
got it so easy out there, guys.
Yeah, I don't even know if I don't know if I'm going to hack it out here. It's like, it's so intense. And Bohemia was very intense as well, but this was, nobody walked there. And it was the first thing I saw when I got to the kitchen. It was like, I was walking to the fridge or something. They're like, guys running past me, like, run, come on, come on. I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Like you got there and you were just working 16, 18 hours a day and you did not walk anywhere. You were just running. It was brutal.
Not a moment wasted.
Yeah, and you were upstairs, downstairs. There was a lift connecting two kitchens. It's still there now. Actually, I went back 2 years ago and did a dinner there. There's a lift connecting the kitchens. Nobody used the lift because it was slower than just running up and down the stairs. You're just like, oh, like what I eventually got put on the fish section. Actually, after being, yeah, again, my smart mouth got me in a bit of bollocks. They put me on the larder, which I was kind of like, all right, fine. Right, I've been a sous chef in a 1-star, like, fine, I'll do the larder, whatever. Anyway, made some comment to the chef one day about not wanting to do the larder anymore.
Those were the exact words that you used, were they?
I mean, I was always very respectful to him. I never would have stepped out of line, but obviously he didn't like the way I'd said it or what I was saying. I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah.
So he obviously decided he was going to teach me a lesson. So he's like, "Right, fine, you're on fish tomorrow. No training, no like, oh, you're going to be on the section with somebody." It was just kind of like, there you go, you're on fish.
You asked
Obviously, I 2 Michelin star, full restaurant, went down like a sack of shit and got absolutely ruined. To the point where he stopped the service and he was just like, this this is a 1-star sous chef or whatever, this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right. So, yeah. But then I spoke to him at the end of the service, and I knew why he did it. And it was a kind of, you're not as good as you think you are kind of thing. And he was absolutely right. Like, he's 100% right. And for me, again, like, there's other people who would look at that and say, that's like a really shit way to manage somebody. But I know for me personally, like, that's the sort of thing that I needed just to keep me going kind of thing. And then the next thing he put me back on fish, and he was like, you can obviously do it, just wake up. So I was in from about 5:30 in the morning till 1:00 in the morning for the next 3 weeks. Just every single day I was in. I barely slept. So I was like, I'm not giving up till I've got this down. So eventually I got.
5-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
You raise again a really interesting point around like the individuality of management as well, right? Because as you quite rightly say, somebody else in your position in that respect might have completely just folded and went, that does not get the best out of me. But it did get the best out of you. And that's, as you said, at that point in your time, you were obviously self-aware enough to know that that lesson was given to you with the right intention in the end, which was to teach you a lesson, to kind of, I don't know, recalibrate your humility a little bit to the moment. And again, it's not about saying who's right or wrong here. It's just about identifying that it's not a one size fits all. Like there's different degrees of individual capability within the individual to respond to something or take it personally, and that spectrum is so far and wide that you've got to spend the time as a leader understanding what makes the individuals tick.
Yeah, and that is probably my strongest point. I think probably from going through some of that stuff, and as you say, like some of it actually understanding at that moment in time, like why was this guy absolutely hammering me for something? And I think that's one thing that I've really taken now, and I'm like a massive advocate for it. I teach my senior chefs here the same sort of thing. I speak to front of house about it. Everybody. For me, I can read somebody quite quickly as to what they need in terms of like how they're going to respond to. Do I need to babysit them? Do I need to put an arm around them? Do they need to feel like they're really part of the team, or actually do they need like a bit more of a firm hand because, like I was, probably thought that they knew more than they did? And yeah, that's one thing I've definitely taken from my own management style. But yeah, absolutely, Martin was. Yeah, he's a really smart, switched-on guy, and I think he was really good at that and like finding what that person really needed in the moment in time. Obviously, it's difficult, especially got a young group of chefs. Mostly guys, mostly at an age where they're out causing trouble and drinking and partying and women and all this kind of stuff, and they got other things in their mind, kind of thing, than just work. And he was like really always trying to get the best out of us, and he was like, he is the most professional chef like you could ever meet. Like, yeah, I remember the pastry chef, he had like OCD like 100%, and the pastry chef was sat in his office one time and had taken his phone, the headset, and used the cords to like tie a sort of knot sort of thing in the headset. And then sat in front of him on his desk, and then phoned his office phone. And Martin picked up the phone, and obviously the cord thing was all tangled up. So the whole telephone then came up and it was bouncing all over the place kind of thing. And he was going absolutely bonkers. And it was just that kind of thing. Like he took as like a good laugh, but he's yeah, if any tiny little thing was like out of place, he was just absolutely going crazy. But again, that's made me much better and work a lot tidier as somebody who was like a really messy and unorganized worker. Like it turned me into a completely different chef after that.
Mm.
So yeah, I did a couple of years there and then decided that I'd get the most out of being a chef and do some traveling. Went to Australia. There's one restaurant that I just always wanted to work at. I'd always looked at the book and always been thinking, wow, this place is the best of the best. And that restaurant is Quay in Sydney.
I thought you were going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just obsessed with it. I used to watch the videos from there.
In fact, the book is just up there as well.
Oh, yeah. But it's just, the book is beautiful. Like the videos, the food, everything, like this location. It's just absolutely stunning. So I sent him an email and said, look, I'm coming to Australia to work. I want a job with you. That's why I'm coming to Australia. And they said, okay, well, can't really do much about it until you're in the country. So get yourself a visa, come across and come and see us and see what happens. So I had like minus £2,000 in my bank account at this point. So I had to go and do some work in Scotland up in Ayrshire for a couple of months to save some money. So I think you need about £2,000, or maybe it's changed now, but at the time you needed about £2,000 in your bank account before they'd let you into the country. Basically enough to say that you could afford a flight home.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have to pay for it if you did something or you couldn't afford to live there. So, yeah, I went up to Ayrshire, worked there for a couple of months and met a couple of really good friends who are still some of my best friends now. Tony Parkin, who's Michelin star chef, really amazing guy. So me and him slogged out there. Ross Stovald again, did a Michelin star. Yeah, so we had a really cool little team there for a couple of months. Obviously, we all went off and did our own thing. Ross stayed and got his star there. But then for the rest of us, we went off and did stuff. I went off to Sydney, got the job at Quay, thankfully. Went there on my 4th day or something in Australia. After I realised as well how expensive it was to live there. I think I remember going for dinner on the first night and it was like $140 or something like that for absolutely nothing. I was like, bloody hell. The rent, I think my rent was like $500 and something a week. Like, this is absolutely mental. So,
right. Well, I suppose same London issue, I guess, for a big city in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not the same as London because it's nothing like as big. You know, it's not even remotely close in terms of like, you know, how much space it occupies to how many people occupy it kind of thing. It's a lot of the Sydney still feels like you're on your own kind of thing. You can go to a park and it's just you in the park kind of thing. It's not, you can go down the beach and there's not loads of people down there kind of thing. But yeah, got the job there. That again was a massive eye opener. Huge covers. We're doing like 150 for lunch and 150 for dinner, 130, 150, something like that. Every single day, without fail. It was fully booked like 9 or 10 months or something in advance. It just won like, I think it was like number 30 or 20 something in the world's 50 best. I had 3 hats, which obviously I suppose is the equivalent of having 3 Michelin stars, which I personally would say it's not the same. But it's obviously like, it's still an amazing restaurant. Would it get 3 stars? I probably doubt it, but you never know. Yeah, amazing place. Worked there for 6 months. They offered me a sponsorship. I said no, and then went and worked somewhere else for 6 months. Where I had 1 hat, like a 1 Michelin star type thing. And then they got 2 hats while I was there, which was amazing. And not because of me, just because they absolutely deserved it.
A little bit because of you.
No, I don't think so. I mean, actually, to be fair, working there, it's called Oscillate Wildly. It's not open anymore. Actually, in Quay is also closing as well now. But yeah, Oscillate Wildly. The chefs there's 2 brothers. They're amazing. Tiny little kitchen, like minuscule. Like, you barely fit 3 people in there. But the food they were doing, these 2 guys, absolutely amazing. I learned loads and loads and loads there. I was there for 6 months, and it was amazing. They taught me so much. They taught me how to fillet fish, like the Japanese sort of style. They taught me like more interesting stuff. We had like loads of cool bits, liquid nitrogen, all this kind of stuff. It was absolutely amazing. Took me to the Sydney markets to go and see stuff that I'd never seen before, could even dream existed, kind of thing. It was amazing. I absolutely loved that there. Arguably more so than Quay, actually, even though it's definitely not got the same reputation. It was just amazing. And I would say again, it kind of comes back to what I said before about Bohemia's kitchen changing. I do think some kitchens just suit people or workplaces, not necessarily just kitchens, but some people just don't suit a particular work environment or the way things work, and they will never get the best out of them.
Yeah.
Like I've certainly had it when I was in that place in Scotland. Like it just didn't ever feel like it was the right thing for me. And yeah, I can say like, I can see it even with people that I've worked with since I've been a head chef, where I can be like, no, you can obviously do it, but this probably just isn't the right place for you. So when I was in Australia, I was debating what I was going to do. I wanted to come back. I was debating, should I go to Long Clume? Should I go to the Fat Duck? And one of the guys who I worked with in Ayrshire, which is why I mentioned it before, he'd taken over a hotel in Surrey as executive chef. And I said, look, I've got an opportunity. We've got a tiny little restaurant here, 20 covers. I'm looking for somebody to take over and run it. And do you want to do it? Like I was thinking, as soon as I saw it, I was thinking about you. You can take it on. It's your baby. You do whatever you want in there. Like, leave you alone. And I was like, whoa, really don't think I'm ready for this. I was like 28. It's like, I know I've got loads to learn. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And went to have a look at the place and I thought, wow, amazing. Really good setup, amazing restaurant, beautiful hotel. It was the hotel's Great Foster's in Surrey. The restaurant, tiny little one's called the Tudor Room.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll take it. Let's see what happens. What happens. At some point, you've got to become a head chef. So, if I mess it up, I'll try it again later.
But that's also, I think, a lot of people's journey as well, is that it usually takes somebody to see something in you first before you see it yourself. And especially when you're making that big step up into, the ultimate leader of that kitchen, it's a big step to take, right? I mean, it's the sous chef can prepare you in some way, but it doesn't prepare you for the buck stopping with you everywhere.
Oh, 100%. And this is so what I say to the guys that work here with me now, and again, it's like part of my own development sort of thing. Guys that work here, I always say to them, I was like, you guys can come up with dishes. You need to show me them. We talk about them. We talk about why it works, why it doesn't work. We maybe take little bits from some of it and put it into a different dish, or maybe we just say, look, this doesn't work at all. Like, and this is why it doesn't work. But it's like done in a safe way, in a safe place. It's not like a ridiculing. I've had commies do it. I've had apprentices do it. I've had sous chefs make dishes, and a lot of them go in the menu. A lot of the dishes that end up on the menu aren't, more so the brasserie. They're not my dishes. There's stuff that maybe we've tweaked, me and my head chef kind of thing, to make them perfect. But it's for them to think for themselves. And that's the one thing I found when I took over as a head chef, is nobody had ever given me the opportunity to actually have a go. So I became head chef, and all I'd ever really done outside of doing my own drawings and doodles and ideas and, talking about food to people, I'd never had the opportunity to actually create a dish in somebody else's kitchen and then know if I was able to do it. So as a head chef, then just suddenly being like, okay, you're going to be head chef here. You need to come up with a menu. I was just like, oh, right, okay, well.
How?
I mean, the easy thing is, when you say how, is you take the dishes from the chefs that you've worked for before, and you just do not exactly the same, but you do something similar, or you take bits from one guy and you put a bit from another guy and a bit from another guy, and then you make this. And obviously, I think most chefs are shaped by the people they've worked for at some point. But when you just start out, well, for me particularly, I can say, I can't maybe speak for absolutely every head chef, but I'd say for the majority, you go in there and you're just like, okay, this thing from this cookbook and this thing from this chef that I worked for before, and now I'm trying to come up with a dish. And half the time it's total crap. And yeah, it's it's really tough to then actually like understand why things go together if you've not already been doing it yourself. Like I used to just look at the chefs I worked for and think, bloody hell, how have you just come up with that? But when you're doing it all the time, it's much easier to create something good once you understand how everything works better. So there's one thing I really try to teach the guys here. And if they do a dish and the texture's not right or something doesn't quite work on it, explain to them why. Like, do you understand why? What do you think would be better? What could we replace it with? What would change that? Would it be better with a different meat? Would it be better vegetarian? And you should try and prepare them a little bit better for the future than probably what I was. But yeah, I was very fortunate there. The boss of the Tudor room, he was, really posh, sorry chap, Mr. Young. Everyone called him Mr. Young, so there was no first name terms with him. So he used to give me a bit of a hard time. He was like, "Ew, Dougie, come on!" Like give me a right hard time about stuff that was on the menu. So he used to push me, and then I was very glad that he did. He was obviously quite critical, but he wanted the best for the restaurant. He'd been there like 20 something years. He wanted a Michelin star. That's, he bought into it. And luckily enough, after the first year, we were given a Michelin star. So yeah, massive honor, crazy time for me. Like I just couldn't believe that was a thing. I didn't feel like we deserved it. Like I didn't feel like I deserved it or the restaurant deserved it. It's like, I'm just a kid. Like what? I don't know anything. Like how have I got a star when these other guys have got a star and they're like 100 times better than I am? So yeah, it was weird. It was also the very first of the Michelin awards where they started doing the actual awards ceremony. Before it was just announced in the book, and you get a phone call and then you see in the book or whatever if you had a star or not. And obviously it got leaked every single year without fail, so everybody knew before. So this was slightly different. It was the very first year, and we got a phone call from somebody. I was like, "Oh, can you go to the office?" And somebody's on the phone for you. And I thought it was the bloody woman selling the mushrooms. And I was like, "Oh, fuck, I really want to speak to her. Like, I don't have time to speak to her." So I picked up the phone. "Hello, it's Rebecca Barr calling from the Michelin Guide, head of Michelin." I was like, "Oh, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
hi.
Do you have mushrooms you need to sell me?
Yeah. Like, what? So, she said, "Oh, we love your food. We'd love for you to come to a special event that we're having next week on Monday. You're a big part of it, so we'd love for you to come." No more than that. Didn't say you've won. Obviously, now people know if they get an invite, they know they've won something. For me, I was like, "What is this like? Best garden? Best? Am I just invited because I'm a head chef? What is this invite for?" Obviously, I had a hope that that's what it was. It was for a star. But then we were sat in this room and all these chefs were in there, and I was like, bloody hell, these guys! I know all these guys. These guys are like top chefs, and I'm in here with them. And I just remember going to the toilet and just been like, had my head in my hands, and I was just like, fucking hell, what is going on here?
It's a real moment. Although I suppose these people that you've looked up to for quite a long time at this point as well, and now you're at the table with them.
Yeah. It was honestly unbelievable, like absolutely unbelievable. The whole day, I've never been so nervous in my whole life. I was absolutely petrified because I was like, so they called my name, went up onto the stage, and I was just stood up on the stage. In the front row is like the Ruse, Marcus Waring, like all these like huge chefs, Claire Smith. I was just like stood up on the stage with this tiny little guy, just like absolutely shitting myself, just like looking at these guys like, oh my fucking god,
yeah.
Like, what is going on here? So yeah, that kind of changed everything after that. And Andrew Fairley, obviously he's passed now, but he came up to me afterwards and said, "Well done, young man. No matter what, nobody can ever take this away from you." And I just thought, wow, that's something I'm going to say to somebody at some point. That's just I was like, wow, what a simple but also true,
powerful thing,
sentimental, amazing sort of thing to hear. I was like, wow, this guy just said that's amazing. That means so much to me, kind of thing. This guy's like an absolute, he's only 2-star Scottish chef at the time. I was like, this guy's like an idol for me, kind of thing. That's like, I'm so happy. So
Was this a moment for you whereby, to this point, did you have self-belief? Did this kind of accelerate that? Did it give you it for the first time? I don't know, because I think a lot of the time when you're pushing for, to become the best version of yourself, I think you're probably way harder on yourself than everybody else is on you, and maybe not at the beginning of your career, as we have already discussed. But was your self-belief there at this point in time, and did the star actually help with that?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, like the week before, we went to the A Awards, and we just won 3 rosettes in that the week before, and everyone was coming up to me, people I didn't know, and saying, "You're going to get a star next week. You're going to get a star next week." And I was like, "Well, okay, well, I don't. If it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody that we're going to get a star. Like, we just keep going."
Yeah.
And right enough, we did. And I think it gave me a little bit, but also in a weird way, it gave me like a huge imposter syndrome thing. Because I was just like, do we even deserve this? Do I deserve this? Like, I just don't like. And I was probably the worst head chef that I've been just after we got the star. Like, I was probably the worst in terms of like how good I was at my job and how good I was with other people, and probably even the food. Like, I was just, nothing had changed, but everything had changed at the same time. So at the end of the day, all it is somebody is giving you a little shiny badge in a book with a different icon next to your restaurant name. Yeah. That is what it comes down to. If somebody then says,
well done.
Yeah, it's a well done. Somebody has said, you are worth something, well done. Here's this little thing next to your restaurant in the book. But for me, I was just like either too immature or too stressed or wasn't ready for it or something. And I was just like, the pressure of it for the next 2 weeks, I was just, nothing was good enough anymore. Like, everything that came up to me in the past was just going in the bin. Start again.
Oh, right.
Like, and it should never have been like that. I think I was about 2 weeks into this, and I just stopped in the middle of the service and I was like, I'm sorry. Let's just do what we were doing before. It was obviously good enough. Let's not, I'm sorry for giving everyone such a hard time. Let's just do our jobs and let's have a good time and let's just make it as good as we can. And there was just like a complete mid-service like realization of like this, I've gone too far now. Like, this actually doesn't need to change. We don't need to change for this. Like, we didn't decide that we didn't go out there and say we're a Michelin star restaurant. Somebody else decided that.
Yeah.
So, we just keep doing what we're doing. And I think that's like one thing for me that's like really changed over time is, yes, you've got to put pressure on yourself to perform, but you can't make it everybody else's problem at the end of the day. Like, everybody has to be in it with you, not terrified to do something because you're going to shout at them or throw something at them or just belittle them or whatever it is.
Yeah. You could probably get away with that for a service, right? Everybody has off days, all of that kind of stuff, but it's not sustainable. It's not the ultimate thing that probably builds trust and a desire for somebody to stay in your company if they're forever worried about the outcome of their output.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have to have like a self-awareness of like a concern that the job they're doing is right, but they can't be terrified that it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So, or at least if they're not sure, they need to be able to come to somebody and say, can you just check this thing? Because I don't know if it's right or not.
Mm.
So, yeah, obviously we've got things in place now where things get checked. Somebody makes something that's like a chef de partie or a demi chef or something. This stuff gets checked because that is the requirement to make sure that it comes to service. If there's a problem, it's been dealt with before service, so that thing is fixed and ready to go. Yes, yeah. Obviously somebody can overcook a piece of fish in the middle of the service and we'd have to do another one. That's life. That is what it is. But at least it's not somebody's made like a sauce or a puree or a mousse or something like that. And it's something that you can't just make again in 5 minutes. It's something that you ain't going to have to like either serve or throw it in the bin and not put it on the plate, or try and somehow make another one in half the time it normally does. So yeah, none of that's helpful. So we just try and make it so everything's a bit more structured when those things don't happen, for everyone's benefit, for the guest, for me. I have enough grey hair already, so and then
Is
for the
it
staff.
the old cliche? There's no failure, only feedback. That one, I suppose it's true of any environment really. When in the end, is that if you take that viewpoint of somebody has done something that they felt is fine, but it's actually not, then they have to be made aware of that. But there is a way to do that.
Yep, exactly. And like we said before, the thing for us, well, for me personally now, is identifying who needs what. Whereas somebody can make a mistake and just shrug it off and be like, nah, fine. In which case you have to deal with that person in a different way from somebody who's like absolutely beating themselves up. And I've seen a guy punching himself in the face because he's made some mistakes. It's like, that kind of person, you just need to be like, look, it's okay, like let's move on from that and fix the problem. And
please, yes,
please stop that now. So.
Yeah, indeed. So well, bring us home then. From there, how did it all transpire that you ended up where you are?
Yeah, so finally, obviously, the owners. Well, first of all, I was invited to look at the job of one of the sister restaurants called Coast at the time. Again, that's now been rebranded as a restaurant called Lanimore. So I was invited to look at this restaurant Coast, and I said, look, actually, I think that's not really for me, but I know you have the Grove, and if that ever came up, I'd be interested to have a chat about it. So, let me know if Alistair ever leaves, kind of thing. And yeah, so I stayed at the Children for 4 years or so, 5 years maybe, something like that. Retained the star, got 4 rosettes there, got into the list, top restaurants. But then I was always aware that there's only a 20 cover restaurant, and I didn't want to be tarnished with this sort of thing of being a 33-year-old who could only work in tiny restaurants and would ever be able to get a job in a 60 cover restaurant in a hotel, or would people judge me on like, oh, you can only do tiny restaurants. So I need to just go off and learn how to do something else. And Neil, the owner from here, got in touch with me and said, Alistair's handed his notice in, he's going to open his own restaurant, now's the time, do you want to come and have a chat? So yeah, came across with my partner. Both of us absolutely fell in love with the place. As soon as the gates open up here, it's like a magical hidden little spot,
Yeah.
And then we came just when the daffodils were about to come out again now, actually. So it's my favourite time of year. The daffodils are out. We've got different types of daffodils here that come up at different times of year. Like the gates opened, it's just like coming down this like little special secret garden looking type thing. I was like, wow, this place is absolutely amazing. Again, first impressions, like Whatley Manor, first impression, I was like, this place is insane. Like, no matter what happens here, like, this place has got huge potential to do something. So, yeah, had dinner. They came across, tasted the food in the children's room, offered me the job. And, yeah, that's that, really.
Thanks very much.
7 years later. 7 years later, got the 4 rosettes, which is what they wanted. Looking, obviously, at some point we can get the star. Again, if that happens, it happens. And I've had a son here. Partner loves the area. So, yeah, we're just about to move into another house now. So, yeah, the whole thing's just gone really well. We absolutely love Wales. Love the people. Love Pembrokeshire, actually. Like, super, super cool place to be. It's kind of like a Cornwall, but not as busy.
Yeah. But don't tell anyone. Because it's a great place to go because it's not nearly as busy as the southwest.
Exactly. I would thoroughly recommend it. Unfortunately, I'm very torn between wanting the tourism to go up for my job.
Well, indeed, there is that, yes.
Also wanting it not to go up for my own personal enjoyment. So
yeah. No, but it is, I have to say, we went in January and it was absolutely chucking it down with rain the day that's the only thing I had remember externally, other than the fact that it is this beautiful little spot that almost feels like you have gone through the wardrobe in Narnia for a moment, whereby
Yeah.
it's a different world from the road out in the big bad world, as it were, and that carries through the whole experience. As well, is that it's almost like certainly felt to us like a sanctuary. It was just a really lovely place to spend some time, with some excellent food, great service, and obviously the dog being made to feel like royalty, which is the biggest tick of all to administer. But I think what you've got there is really, really special, and I'm so grateful that you and I bumped into each other. I think maybe in the toilet, actually, at the
I think I was actually pulling my head chef who was throwing up out of the toilet.
That's right, something like that, which is absolutely justifiable because it was a cracking achievement.
Yeah. Well, he was a bit worse for wear that night. Yeah.
These things are supposed to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And I just want to say a massive thanks for being so open and candid about your journey, as well, about the good, the bad, and the ugly. That if we're all honest with each other, I think we've all got the good, the bad, and the ugly in our journey. It's pretty unheard of to get to a position of sort of semi-success without having some experiences, let's call them that, along the way. And so I'm very, very grateful for you for sharing so openly as you have done on this show today.
No, an absolute pleasure. There's no point otherwise, is there? So may as well say it how it is.
Well, indeed, yes. But no, I wish you guys all the very best. Season coming up. Hopefully the sunny weather is about to join us for a bit.
I hope so, yeah.
Enough now. But yeah, no, thanks so much, Douglas, and I wish you guys all the very best.
No, thank you, Phil. Thanks very much for your time. Cheers.
And there we have it. I have to say, I'm very grateful to have bumped into Douglas in the toilet at the Hotel Katie's, a superb winner, but I'm so very grateful as to how open he was for our chat. We will, of course, be back next week with another awesome journey from hospitality, so have yourselves a cracking week, and I'll see you then.